Transformers Rise of the Beasts. An interesting take by Stephen Caple Jr. Everybody knows about Transformers. You must have grew up watching the animated series when you were younger in the 90s. You must have watched the Michael Bay iterations, the soft reboot. And now you got Rise of the Beast, which has just come out. And luckily for me, I got a chance to see it via a private screening by Paramount, which I'm very grateful for. So let's talk about the animated series. So the original animated series for Transformers came from 1996 to 1999. And introduced a whole new generation of Transformers and took it into a new direction. And Beast was set in the past of Transformers' home planet Cybertron. The Autobots and Decepticons have disappeared, and their descendants, the Maximals and Predacons, took the battle on the prehistoric Earth. Maximals take on animal forms, while Predacons adopt robotic animal forms. And the main character is Optimus Primal. He is a leader of the Maximals, just like how Optimus Prime is a leader of the Autobots. Megatron, who's the leader of the Predacons, and other memorable characters as well. And Beast War was actually one of the first few TV series that actually utilized CGI for their animation form. The visuals were groundbreaking, and it allowed us to see those amazing transformation scenes. And it also generated a few spin-offs as well. Beast Machines Transformers and Transformers Robots in Disguise. It is beloved for a lot of people. It's beloved for me. I grew up watching these shows, especially on a Saturday morning, and I really enjoyed it. Now let's go back into the Michael Bay Transformers universe. All in all, we have 5 films that range from 2007 to 2017. The first film, I would say, is probably my favorite one out of all of them. It grossed over 700 million in the box office. The second one was probably one of the poorest ones, and it still grossed over $700 million in the box office. And Transformers Dark of the Moon, which came out 2011, was one of the most successful ones that generated over $1.1 billion in the box office. Transformers The Age of Extinction, which came out 2014, also generated $1.1 billion in the box office. And Transformers The Last Knight, which came out 2017, was one of the poorest ones as well, and that generated just over $600 million in the box office. And then we had a soft reboot of the franchise, and to be honest, we didn't even know if it was a soft reboot or if it was a prequel, but we had Bumblebee, which came out 2018, starring Haley Steinfeld and John Cena. For me personally, I think Bumblebee was the strongest one in terms of character development. I think having Bumblebee and the character Charlie, their interaction, their human element, their bond was more intimate than any other Transformers film. And for me, Bumblebee mirrors the heartfelt connection between a young protagonist and a non-human creature, invoking the same sense of wonder and adventure. And for me, Bumblebee successfully tapped into the nostalgia of the original Transformers animated series from the 1980s, and it pays homage to the robots of the franchise, incorporating iconic Generation 1 designs of Transformers, and also capturing the spirit of watching the classic Saturday morning cartoons. And despite the shift in focus, Bumblebee didn't compromise in the visual effects and action sequences that we expected in a Transformers film. The CGI work remained, I think, impressive, but also delivering a great robotic transformation in battle. And when you compare it to Beast Wars, it kind of tried to do the exact same thing, but I think it kind of fell short. If it was for me, I would have preferred Bumblebee over Rise of the Beast, only because of the intimate story. However, that's not to say Rise of the Beast is not a good film. And it considered a fresh start to a old franchise, and it generated a healthy $460 million in the box office compared to a small budget. And now you got Transformers Rise of the Beast, and honestly, it's a bit of a hot take, this film is. This film is very self-aware. I don't know if that's because of the script. However, there were scenes where I thought, okay, there's a lot of MacGuffins and plot holes that they need to be covered. And at the same time, the specialty of the Transformers franchise, which was the action-packed, ridiculous set pieces, which we all know and love because of Michael Bay, that didn't exist in this film per se, because they took it to a wasteland at the end, where they had the final act, when they're all battling together. As epic as it looked, for me, I would rather have had it in the city, because that's what we all love. And in the trailers, I suggested the main bad guy was going to be Unicron, decimating the entire Earth and being the eater of all worlds. And the funny thing is, they discussed this in the Transformers The Last Knight, because they suggested that Unicron was already on Earth, but looks like they vetoed the whole thing and restarted it from scratch. The one thing I did like about this movie is the human element. Now, the one thing that Michael Bay's Transformers did lack in was the human element and caring for the characters. And Shia LaBeouf was probably the best character out of all the characters in the Transformers franchise. The fourth and fifth film, you just kind of lose that interaction, that humanity for the humans, even though humans were a big part of the films. And in this film, you've got Dominique Fishback and you've got Anthony Ramos. Both did a great job. Anthony Ramos and Mirage, they both had some great chemistry. The thing is, Pete Davidson, who plays Mirage, actually had comedic moments which bounced off quite nicely, and it kind of gave me nostalgic memories of Shia LaBeouf and Bumblebee. The interesting thing as well is, I don't know if it's because of the character Mirage or it's Pete Davidson, but he was very self-aware in the way he said some things in the film, and I don't know if that's because he was ad-libbing most of it, but you'll know what I mean when you watch it. And this film is canonically set a few years after Bumblebee, which came out 2018, set in the 90s. And the issue for me is that there's a lot of plot holes. Well, not even plot holes, I think plot armor, in the sense that at the end or in the final act, there were a lot of things which human had to do because the Autobots, the Maximals, they can't do. So that's where Dominique Fishback and Anthony Ramos come in to fix that convenient problem. And to be honest, there were some good jokes in this movie as well. And for me, I wanted more from the Maximals. I wanted more about Optimus Primal. And yes, the story is based on Optimus Primal. We know a lot about him. We learn more about Optimus Prime as well, about his humanity and how much he hates humans at the beginning of the film, which is quite evident, but then starts to grow and love them, which is more of an indication why this film was a reboot as opposed to a prequel of the Michael Bay Transformers universe. I've got to admit though, the one thing I enjoyed is the G1 animation and the G1 looks. Those are the OG looks, and a lot of people when the trailers came out were stating in the comments of the trailers that this looks horrible, this is not what we know. Unfortunately for them, not a lot of them grew up watching the original Transformers TV shows back when they were kids, and that is why it looks very alienating for them. All in all, I actually enjoyed the movie, and I know for some people it may not be their cup of tea. This film does try and hold on to the humanity of humans, and I think bringing in Predacons, Maximals, Autobots, Decepticons, I think it was quite a nice addition, knowing the fact that this is an adaptation of Beast Wars when we were kids. And as I said in previous videos, the one scene that will always get me in any Transformers movie is the opening of the Transformers film. They came out 2007, because that scene introduced the best CGI I've seen at that time, and some of the best transformations I've ever seen at that time, and some of the best intros of any film at that time. So I was very excited to see it. But for me, I think go into cinemas expecting a nice, well-rounded film with some decent character development, some great transformations, and with some great set pieces as well. Hope you liked the video, hope you liked the review. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. Have you seen Beast Wars? Have you seen Rise of the Beast? Did you like it? Did you think it's better than the Michael Bay iterations? Let me know, and hopefully I get to see you in my next video.